Get in, loser. We're going on a big, strange vacation. Big, strange vacation.
Big, strange vacation.
Big strange holiday.
Big strange vacation. Woohoo! Y'all got room for one more? Hello, I'm a little lovely tadpole boy, and I can't wait to go on my big strange vacation with all my friends.
Pack your bags. We're going on a big strange vacation. Big strange vacation. Welcome to Bigfoot Collectors Club, Big Strange Vacation. Hello, everybody, and welcome to Bigfoot Collectors Club, the show where we talk to amazing guests about their personal paranormal history and share stories of high strangeness. I'm your host, Michael McMillan, and with me always is the Wizard of Weirdverly Place,
Riley Bray. All right. Yeah.
submitted by W. Dave Keith, friend of the show.
Is that a Harry Potter reference?
No, it's like a Disney Channel thing, right?
That's
okay,
it.
we're getting nods
right.
from the animator, and then
Disney Channel,
also
of
I
course.
also think her husband is pretty well versed in Disney shows for some reason.
More than I am, actually.
Yeah, I don't know. Probably shouldn't say these things out loud, but
Riley, we have some real talent with us today. I'm just gonna say, let's bring him right in. Yeah, we don't want to do our bullshit. I mean, there are guests, and then there are like guests, and we've got a couple amazing guests here to celebrate Big Strange Vacation with us. Again, we're talking about weird, spooky places and the most mysterious places in the world. We have the husband and wife team behind the podcast Outgrown, which I was privileged enough to be a guest on recently. He is a TV writer, author, and host of the legendary comedy show, The Best Show. She is an animator, director, and writer, and creator of 12 Forever, Club Scouts of all timelines. Please welcome to the show, Tom Scharpling and Julia Vickerman.
Hello. It's
Oh my
so
gosh.
great to be here.
I'm so stoked that you guys are here. I'm really gonna do my best not to get too excited and keep my cool. This is, we have like a radio legend with us today. You basically invented the podcast, didn't you, Tom? Is that what you go around telling people?
say I invented the podcast. Sure, let's just say yes.
There it is. You heard it here.
No,
Yeah.
we were early. Best Show was early on the podcast thing. 2005. That's early.
That's early.
Dude.
Yeah.
That's super, super early. And Julia, how long have you been in the podcast game? You just is Outgrown your first show?
It's my first show, yeah. No, we'd been talking about it for like almost the whole time we'd been together, just because we always love our long conversations to one another, and then we were like, oh, we should do a show about this. But then our show is us not talking to each other at all.
Talking to somebody else.
Yeah.
No.
What's the show? Let everybody know what it is.
Oh yeah,
Tell us
Outgrown is
about
a
it.
show we have guests on to discuss something from popular culture that they used to profoundly identify with and once thought would define them forever, but then eventually outgrew. We basically use things that people used to be obsessed with in pop culture. They don't have to be children when they were obsessed with it, but any stage in their life that kind of like played a huge part in creating their identity, or like it was kind of like, this isn't a phase, mom, kind of stuff, you know?
Right.
But then eventually you realize when you get older, it was a phase. Yours was Claire Danes.
Yeah, Claire Danes specifically in My So-Called Life. I had a massive crush on Angela Chase, her character, and it was confusing, It was kind of confusing.
But it helped you become the man that you are.
You guys helped me figure that out. So it was like a really good therapy session, actually.
Yeah.
Those are our favorite episodes, or when someone's just like, oh my God, I've actually never made that connection before.
Yeah. When there's a point when we stop kind of even talking about the thing that was the outgrown subject, and the person's just talking about their parents and their
We just want to get to know people.
yeah.
And it's a fun jumping off point. Something.
Well, this whole podcast is basically something that I should have outgrown years ago, the subject of the paranormal, and then brought Riley into it. what is the stuff that you guys, I'm sure you get this question, but just like what kicked off that idea? What's the thing that you guys carry around that you're like, I should have outgrown this, but or you did?
Well, actually, our like pilot episode that no one will ever hear is when I was younger, I was obsessed with The Crow.
Amazing.
Great.
Like to a very dorky extent. So
were you into the mysticism, not the mysticism, but like the character itself? Like, were you into the comic, or was it all about like the tragic death that was on, like, was it on set of that movie? Yeah,
really just the film itself. I've never read the comic, unfortunately. I know like a lot of the backstory of the comic, but the film itself, plus all the lore and tragedy behind the scenes of the movie, that I was just in love with Brandon Lee and so fascinated by all of that. And I was just a very angry kid. So like, it's one of those movies that's like, I feel like it's a very, now you'd call it like an incel kind of vibe or something. Like the Joker or Bateman or something, where you're just like, but I guess he's a little better than those guys.
Yeah. So you're saying I started the podcast and you started female incels. Somehow.
Yeah,
like,
The Crow is kind of like, he is a blend between like Joker and like a cool guy and like insane clown posse.
Yeah.
You know?
But at least he has like righteous intentions or whatever. He's not like an anarchist.
Right.
But he is a murderer, I guess, but whatever.
no,
But with a code, though.
Yeah, he
sense
just
of
looks
justice.
really cool.
He does look good.
And that soundtrack was so good.
Did this obsession spill over into your fashion choices at the time then too? Or?
Unfortunately, a little bit. I fancied myself like a little bit of a goth kid, but I like didn't get it right ever. So it just came across as really lame. So.
Did you ever like go stand in like alleyways and like stand on top of a dumpster and just gaze down? You know,
Yeah,
like
it was more
from
just
a
like
fire escape.
More just looking into the mirror in my room and like daydreaming about killing my classmates.
Oh no!
that's
Oh,
Don't worry, nothing happened. This was all pre-Columbine. I didn't even know you could do that.
It's a different time.
So it's just a matter of you didn't know you could do it. That's the only thing keeping you from doing it.
We're learning.
Anyway, maybe we got to stop this conversation.
Maybe the Crow.
right,
Sounds like the
too.
Crow is the only thing stopping you from finding that out.
That's why no one's gonna hear that pilot episode.
Oh my god, that's great.
Yeah.
Tom, what was yours? What was the thing that you were like super into?
I think I'm still into all the things, actually.
Yeah.
I think I'm just weird. I don't know. I mean, something I was really into, I was like, I was obsessed with music and comedy, and that's kind of literally where I'm still at right now. I kind of, I don't know if I outgrew anything.
I bet you did.
What
about Wizards of Waverly Place?
No, well, that's not me outgrowing.
Do you mind if I just manage the dog?
Yeah, do whatever you want. We all got dogs, so we all have to manage them.
Yes.
Did you outgrow? I feel like it's based on stories you've told in the best show. Like you've outgrown like Star Wars, maybe some of that stuff.
That I would say that's fair. Like just the obsession I would have with certain things like that. If they kind of found their level, their proper level at once. I kind of grew up a little bit. I guess I outgrew horror movies. Was something I used to love horror movies. And then just like one day I didn't like horror movies anymore.
What was the movie that stopped it? What do you think was the film that like
I think Real Life Sadness is what stopped it, and like people being sick and dying in real life. Suddenly I'm like, oh, this isn't fun. I want less of this, not more of it.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think John Carpenter's The Thing might have been the boiling point, and it's not even nothing against the movie. It's a great movie, but I think that pile of the dog thing, I think was the final. I think that was my farewell to horror movies as a teen.
Yeah,
You didn't think that was like just fascinating?
I thought it was disgusting, though.
Yeah.
So I think it's fascinating that somebody built it to look that good. But I do think you're right. I think that like that is a jumping off point. If you can't take the dog thing in The Thing, then there's definitely like a beyond place that you cannot move any further with certain horror.
Yeah, you don't keep going down the road, start getting into horror movies from different countries is next. Suddenly you're
That's when you're really in.
German horror movies.
Oh boy,
you should see this one.
Yeah. Well, that takes us into the realm a little bit of the paranormal. Like, what, if any, what is your personal paranormal history? What were you ever interested in this topic involving, UFOs, Bigfoot, ghosts, anything? Was that part of the appeal of horror movies for you, Tom?
I mean, I was big into UFO stuff, and because the idea of like what conspiracy stuff when I was a kid was a whole other thing than what it looks like now. It was like a fun diversion to be just like, I got this weird book about UFOs, and like, what if Area 51 is a thing, and like all that stuff, like Roswell, and you're just like having fun with it. I really liked that stuff, and then once Art Bell entered the picture, I guess then it was like, everybody's talking about this stuff. There's a whole subculture of it.
Yeah, it was fun as a kid to go into your school library and pick out those books, and it wasn't like an avenue into a straight highway into being a maniac back then. It was an escape,
Yep.
Wait, you had those books in your school library?
Oh yeah.
Oh, interesting. I went to Christian schools mostly, so they didn't have the stuff like that.
So were you afraid of the Holy Ghost?
For a little while, till the Crow replaced him.
This is now the Crow thing is now really starting.
No, but
to
I listened to Art Bell in college, and I remember I loved how scared he was of Ouija boards.
Yeah.
And we actually went to the Ouija board museum in Salem, Massachusetts recently.
What?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Tell us about that. What is
ago.
that?
Yeah, it's owned by this guy. He's clearly like on some kind of spectrum because he knows everything. Ouija boards are his special interest, and like he knows everything about them. He has this extensive collection from like when the Ouija board was first created, and all these had all these different names, and there were like competing boards to the Ouija board, and
Whoa.
And
what were some of the knockoff Ouija boards? Like, what did they?
Funny enough, one of them had a big old swastika on it.
Yeah. Oh, there you go.
Because it was before the Nazis claimed that as a symbol. So it was that one. Obviously, didn't go too far.
Didn't catch on.
World War II.
What question would that symbol be answering? I guess it's like I'm wondering
because that was a sign for peace, correct?
Yeah. Well, like people say, it's the Korean symbol of peace. It's the
so many
it's
things.
not a swastika, it's a symbol of peace.
Excuse me.
Yeah. But yeah, he had just gone to he told us a funny story where he had so many great stories.
Yeah, he was so interesting, and he just walked you through every part of the story of Ouija boards.
But one of the stories I liked the most was when he was talking about bringing the Ouija board to jury duty with him.
That's the way to get out of jury duty.
That is a very good way to get
he was
out.
like, I'm going to use this.
Oh, that's
he was
right.
Is he
Right.
guilty?
Yeah, because he brought it in because he got called into jury duty. He brought the Ouija board, and then they were like, "Are you?" And he said no one would sit next to him in the waiting area.
Yeah.
And then he was like, he got asked, "Are you going to be using that Ouija board and making your decision?" He was like, "Absolutely, I am." So then they did dismiss him.
Yeah,
And I was like, that is an excellent way to get dismissed from jury duty.
it is.
Yeah.
If you guys need any new tricks.
Yeah, to not make it like I'm gonna get kicked out of here, but I'm so excited to be here.
I'm putting my
Right.
faith in this
Yeah.
Game.
Yeah, please
What if
let
we-
me stay.
What if we found out that all jury rooms are just like everyone with a giant Ouija board and a planchette? They've all just been determining
how we've
all,
been doing it.
all trials this entire. It's like the twist end of a an Ari Aster movie or something.
Yeah,
But it was cute. There was like a period of the Ouija board marketing where they were just selling it to like young couples.
Yeah.
Because it'd be a thing where like, oh, you have to get in close and like sit across from each other. Maybe your knees will touch. And,
yeah.
it's like
Fingertips.
questions.
and you can reveal things about
Yeah.
each other, and yeah, that was the marketing. And then there were also the boards that had like specific questions, like from the 40s. There was
Will
one
Hitler win the war?
Like, how will Hitler
Whoa.
die? Will Hitler win the war? Like, those were just like, there was that line of Ouija boards that was like
multiple options for how Hitler could die.
No way.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it was unusual.
Yeah.
And then there's also like dream date Ouija board, and then
Yep.
like for girls.
and there was like a Scooby-Doo.
Scooby-Doo, yeah.
One,
There's
yeah.
so many different ones.
No, so that's the highest recommendation if you're
Yeah,
in
I believe it's
Salem.
called the Witchboard Museum.
It's in Salem?
Yes.
Is that what you said?
Yes, it's in Salem.
Did you do any of the other like witch museums or anything while you were there?
Yeah,
Yeah,
that
yeah,
was the main reason. I've always wanted to go and never have been, and then I was just like, my friend who's a teacher was on spring break, and she was just like, let's just do it this year. Let's actually do it. We always talk about it. Let's just do it. And so we got a little group together and went over, and we stayed in a house that was built in 1682.
It's like 1682, like before
before the witch
Salem
trials.
Yeah.
Because those were in the 1690s. So yeah, the house was built pre-witch trials and like very low ceiling. So Tom kept hitting his head on everything.
I kept banging my head like hard going through doorways, like where I'm like seeing stars.
Yeah.
I saw stars like 5 times on the first day.
Yeah.
And
I was like, should I buy you a helmet?
right, that's always the best sign when your loved one is like
Nothing sexier.
might be
than,
helmet
An
time
indoor
for you.
helmet. Yeah.
Yeah.
that really
but yeah,
does it.
the house
You can
was-
rent them at the gift shop.
Yeah.
the house was very cool. It did have some creepy stuff in it, but also not so creepy stuff. Like,
Was it like Goody somebody's house? Like what? Who's was it? The trial place? Where was?
No,
what
it
was the house?
did have a name to the house, but I mean, there are it was considered like a mansion back in the day.
Okay.
But now it's like a vacation house. But there are so many homes like that still in Salem that it's like really interesting. There's so much old. The bones of these homes were very strong.
And like the history of that town is so interesting too, because it was like the whole witch thing was not a forever marketing angle as a tourist.
No, initially they were they were very ashamed of that. But also a lot of the actual like murders of innocent women and one dude or a couple guys happened in Danvers, because that used to be called Salem Village, and this was Salem town.
And they changed their
And
Salem.
they
changed it to Danvers. Yeah.
No, yeah, they changed it to Danvers to because they were so ashamed of what had happened in Salem. But then the other place was like, well, we're keeping Salem.
Yeah, they kept
and then
it,
they were going to embrace. It wasn't really until Bewitched happened in the 60s.
Whoa, really?
Yeah,
show.
that they were like that. Then it became this huge booming tourist thing.
Yeah. They filmed 3 episodes of Bewitched, like that took place in Salem, and that kind of created the cultural awareness of this place.
Yeah, it was like a renewed interest.
Yeah.
Well, also, obviously, the Crucible was the first thing that kind of renewed interest. But then, in terms of more like pop culture fascination, and then and then it's a town that's also obsessed with hocus pocus to a degree that's like, are you guys doing okay?
This is something with your, I mean, I think you're younger than me, Julia. Like I've noticed it like in my fiance, like their generation is like very into hocus pocus. I don't know why that like movie has its boot on everybody's neck.
I'm not really sure. Like it was originally supposed to be direct to video, right?
Yeah, we went on the tour. And
the Hocus Pocus tour?
No,
there is a Hocus Pocus tour. We didn't do that one. We did
there,
just the general one. And then we also went to like the Witch Dungeon Museum. And
there was the tour of Salem, and then there was this one kid on the tour who knew everything about the movie Hocus Pocus.
Oh yeah, she kept like arguing with the tour.
She was like trying to like the tour guide was like they were like, in this building here is if you recognize this, and it's just like this was the house in Hocus Pocus, and then she said, do you know why the movie Hocus Pocus didn't come out around Halloween? And then this kid raised her hand and then talked for like 3 minutes about the history of Hocus Pocus, saying it's just like, well, it was made this and blah, 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 blah. And then the tour guide was clearly like threatened by that, and just like, well,
she basically stole all her thunder. Like she said all the information she was.
But she said like, well, that's a really interesting theory. Like she called it a theory that the kid had said. Wow. That's an interesting theory, but it didn't come out in October because it was Hocus Pocus was a Disney movie, and they already had Nightmare Before Christmas
came out the same
on
year.
the release schedule out, so they had to put it out in a different window.
How are they arguing? I feel like they're watching the same bonus DVD materials.
I know.
Yeah.
And also Salem holds a bit of a grudge against Hocus Pocus 2 because they chose to not shoot any scenes in actual Salem.
Yeah.
So I think they would have appreciated the
The boost.
the money.
Yeah.
They filmed all that in Georgia.
The tourism.
But then the tour person also said, and there is going to be a Hocus Pocus 3. So fingers crossed they come back to Salem to film it. And I was like,
back home.
They're not coming back.
They're never coming
They
back.
never spend
shooting
more
in
money.
Romania.
Yeah, let's spend more money and let's shoot it in Salem rather than Vancouver.
But just the idea of a town, especially in America, the tourism is built around like the murder of innocent women, and that everyone's just like, yay! It's like really spooky. Yeah, it's very interesting because it's just like, you guys know they weren't actual witches, right? It's like these were like innocent people that got killed.
Yeah. But then like the cop cars have like a witch logo on the side.
The water tower has a witch on it. I loved it, but it's morbid. But like a lot of people who live there, they get the joke, and it's like it's
also like these towns, you got to do what you can do to make a buck. You know, like
sure.
Yeah. It's like if someone has a sick fascination with your town, you can either be ashamed of it or embrace it,
Yeah, it really was a fascinating town because it's such a small town also where you walk around and you start to realize it's like, oh, all of this stuff just happened on top of each other. Like here's this house where the court was, and then here's the house. Like it's really a pretty tiny town.
Yeah, I think one of the most kind of disturbing places to visit was the Witch Dungeon Museum, because it kind of shows you the living conditions of people who were imprisoned at that time, and so many people were in prison. A lot of people died in prison, like waiting for their witch trial, and like just all these little details, like they had to pay them and their families had to pay for everything in the prison. You had to pay for your own like arm shackles and all the food and blah blah.
Man.
And there was no electricity. It was freezing cold. It'd be like a wet dirt floor. Like everyone was just getting sick, and you're just like peeing all over the place.
Yeah.
And it was just disgusting. And they locked like a 4-year-old girl up in there. They had to make little tiny custom shackles for this child who admitted to being a witch, and it's because she was a child.
Yeah, and it is like a creepy town.
Yeah,
in a lot of ways.
A lot of crazy shit happened there.
Yeah, but people have like they lean into it, but they also do know nobody's like discounting the actual horror of it.
Totally, and it's like it's an unsolved situation. Like no one can really. There's so many theories of why this happened. Why the two initial girls were having convulsions and making all these sounds and wouldn't come out of it, and like then they started accusing their neighbors of, and like it's still, there are just so many theories of why that could have been, and like what was this kind of shared psychosis this town was under. And there's just really there's a lot of theories and no like specific explanation that you can. So it's there's a little bit of frustration in that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
But a lot of it's just Puritans being Puritans.
Yep.
Yeah.
Look crazy.
Yeah.
And there is a big statue of Elizabeth Montgomery in the center of the town, which is a tribute to the Bewitched.
Yeah.
When they came.
Which I guess a lot of people did not want in the town.
Yeah, I was gonna say we're mixing a lot of separate witch canon into one canons into one town.
Yeah, I guess a lot of people didn't want it, but then someone spoke up and they were like, the tourism from this show has been like driving this town. So like, why don't we just do this?
There was one point that was like, we saw this one thing where they had the recorded audio and they're showing the different kind of almost like these life-size dioramas of different scenes. And
From Bewitched?
No, not Bewitched.
That would be incredible. They recreate
That's a museum I
specific
From the trials.
From the trials.
Yeah.
And then it's just like you leave and you're just kind of like processing everything. And then the first thing you see when you leave the that theater is a poster for the movie Hubie Halloween,
with Shaq,
the Adam Sandler movie, and it was just kind of like
all these people were murdered. We also love Hubie Halloween.
Also,
and Hubie Halloween too.
So we've been asking everybody this summer, what's the weirdest or spookiest or most mysterious place you've been? I mean, Salem's got to be up there, I assume. What other places did you see on your trip, or are there places from your past that kind of like, check that box for you?
One of the creepiest places we went to we just did a cross-country road trip for like a month. We wanted to go to all these beautiful, kitschy, strange places that I've kind of been making a list of for the past few years, and I was like, which of these are in a line basically that would make some kind of sense to go to. And so one of the places we went to, we wanted to visit House on the Rock in Wisconsin.
I don't know what that is.
It's a museum. It started out as just this house that this guy built coming off this hill, which is this incredible, crazy, eccentric home. And then he
in like the 1940s.
In the 40s, he built this. And then people kept wanting to just see his extravagant house. And so he just was like, I'm going to start charging people money to come into my house. And then like his collection just kept growing extensively. And now it's like, he's got like carousels and organs and all these. It's very hard to explain. It's like a 3-level thing of the giant sculpture of a whale fighting an octopus,
which is like the size of like a building.
Yes, it's gigantic. Huge. And then
so he's like a very whimsical hoarder. It sounds like
whimsical hoarder is kind of perfect, like a rich whimsical hoarder weirdo guy.
Because then it'd be like, oh, here's 100 dollhouses.
Yeah, it's like this month I'm into dollhouses. Go buy me dollhouses.
So he buys everywhere, and then I'm into like recreating little like circuses with little
the miniature
figures.
Circuses.
And there were so many circuses. But the thing is,
it's overwhelming.
There were like hundreds of these of each subject like that. Like, oh, here's clown stuff. Here's dollhouses. Here's guns. Here's like organs and keyboards and stuff. So now it's like it's every like gigantic, crazy, like Phantom of the Opera type
self-playing instruments. Where, like you put in, it's like a whole orchestra of self-playing instruments. You put a coin in, and the whole thing starts playing. And you're like, what the crap? And there's just so many things like that. But there's really not much in that area. It's in, we stayed in Dodgeville, Wisconsin, which is like 8 minutes drive to the museum. And you can stay at a resort at the museum, or we chose to stay at this kitschy kitschy hotel from the 70s. It's called the Dawn Q Inn, and it's one of these places that has like, it's like a novelty place where they have like fancy suites and stuff, like fantasy suites.
Yeah. Oh, okay. I don't like that term, fancy suite.
I don't like it either. Suites? And like we stayed in the Northern Lights room, which had like an igloo in it. You sleep inside the igloo, and it had like a polar bear skin on the igloo, and then there was like a giant hot tub where the plumbing hadn't been replaced since the 70s, so we were like, we're not using.
There's a hot air balloon room. Is that what I'm saying?
Balloon room, yeah. And so that was built by this guy Don Quinn, I believe, because the thing is a play on his name, Don Q Inn. And he was inspired by the building, the House on the Rock, and like attracting tourists and stuff. But let's see, he was a pilot. That's why there's a giant plane parked outside.
Yeah, apparently signed by Farrah Fawcett.
The first thing you see is this giant plane on the. Like if you're just driving by, you'd be like, "Oh, what's that huge plane doing on the side of the road?"
It's just a gutted airplane that they put on stilts, and you can go inside, and you're like, "Oh, did they make like a little coffee shop out of the inside of this plane?" No, you go in, it's just a gutted airplane with like rusted metal, and like animals living in it. And like you shouldn't be able to go in here.
No, you could tell there was like the insulation and stuff, and then there's like straw up there, which means
you just start to feel
building.
Sick when you're in it. And he said he was inspired by the crazy decor of the House on the Rock. So he built his new project with industrial salvage, recycled parts of old factories, schools, banks, hospitals, even railroad boxcars. He built guest rooms with sunken bathtubs made from 300-gallon cheese vats. He took Dodgeville's old Methodist church steeple and made it into a honeymoon suite. He filled the motel with barber chairs. He had a lot of barber friends, I guess. And then Yeah, it's a crazy place, and like a lot of the carpeting clearly has not been.
Yeah,
it needs some love. It's kind of become this like it seems like it's become this kind of meth head swingers.
Little bit.
Oh yeah,
it had that energy.
Yeah.
But when we first got in, we pull up and we go and check in.
Yeah.
And then it's like, okay, your room is down those stairs. Like usually you go to a hotel, you don't go like, go downstairs for your room. Usually you go upstairs for your room. So you go downstairs and we go down and it's the darkest corridor.
The hall, it's like black walls basically.
Yeah. And we were just like, this is
the carpet's
actually
squishy.
scary.
Yeah. And you're looking at the names of the rooms on the doors and it's like the float room, which you're like, okay, maybe that's like a boat. And then there's like Dawn's Den. And you're like, what is Dawn's Den?
You don't want to go into Dawn's Den.
And then it's like medieval room, like mid-evil with like spooky eyes. And I'm like, okay. And then I looked up the medieval room because there were people staying in there. I overheard a conversation of theirs when I was walking by. And so there were people staying in that room. And so I was like, I'm going to look up and see what the medieval room looks like. It's got like some medieval crap, like a suit of armor, but then it also has like shackles on the bed.
Okay.
You know? So I'm just like, is that the evil part?
That's the evil part of medieval, I think. Yeah. It was I went and found like another place we could stay. Just be like, there is another hotel nearby.
There's a Quality Inn just up the road.
Truly terrifying and we can't do it. We'll just get out. But it was like, but honestly, it was nice. Its own experience.
We actually slept very well in the igloo.
Okay.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And,
it was shocking.
Yeah. But
I saw a surprising amount of shackles on this road trip, it sounds like.
Eskimo shackles.
It's a good example of why you just like hot tubs and carpets don't go well together.
Yeah, it's kind of like just moist carpet.
Yeah.
But then like, they were so proud of the place. The new owners are clearly very proud of it. Like we walked by when we were checking out and they were cleaning out. One of the rooms called like has like a space station has landed on. Mm-hmm. So you sleep in this little space station thing.
Yeah, it was.
And then like and then they were like, you guys want to come in and look at this room? And we were like, hell yeah. So we went up and like looked around there.
Yeah, it's the kind of thing where I don't want to just like dump on it. It was like,
it was a really cool place.
It's a ridiculous place. And
I love novelty hotels.
Yeah, and that was the point of our trip. We could have just stayed at any normal hotel or whatever for stuff.
Yeah, some of the places we were trying to visit are like things where I'm like, this probably is not going to be around in like 5 years. Mm-hmm. So right. Before so many of these like cool 70s kitschy things get ripped down, there's just so few of them remaining. So, so
did you guys hit any of the like giant this, giant that stops, like the big ball of twine or anything like that?
No, we didn't do that so much.
Not the big ball of twine. We did see the world's biggest truck stop.
Oh yeah, I did that.
Oh, what was that like?
Beautiful. It's in Iowa.
How many subways did they fit in it?
It was.
I had attempted to shoplift from there when I was in college, so I felt like I had to go back. Yeah, the alarm went off. I shouted, run to my friend, ran to the car. It was a whole thing. So I was like, I got to go back to the Iowa 80 and actually buy something that
makes things right.
Yeah. I stole like a pink tank top that had like a motorcycle, an American flag, and a wolf, and it said "Born to be Wild."
Brandon Lee could see me in this, man.
Yeah,
that's so cool.
Well, he would have caught you and
brought you to justice.
No, it was the kind of place where they had so many amenities for the truckers, where it was like, we have the showers, we have
the dentist,
a dentist on
trucker
premises,
dentist,
a movie theater on premises, like that you could be like they're like, pick a movie out, but it's actually like a screening room in there for truckers.
Yeah, it's a cool place.
They had a workout center for them.
Whoa.
It was kind of like if you dropped a Target on the side of the highway and added like trucker things to it.
Yeah. And we did go to a huge animals cemetery.
Oh, like pets or
pet cemetery. Okay. Yeah, in Utah. It was it's Oregon. It's called Angel's Rest Pet Cemetery, and it was like one of the most beautiful, powerful things I've ever experienced.
Wow.
It goes on forever. It's like beautiful memorials to pets. But yeah, we just cried the whole time. So maybe that's not fun to talk about.
I would do the same thing.
Yeah. Yeah, it was just amazing seeing how weird America is.
It's very weird. I don't know if you guys know that.
Yeah, we were a big road trip family as a kid. Like, my dad was like, we got to go to Wall Drug. That was like the place. Have you guys ever been there? Wall Drug is like this giant, weird, kitschy, massive drugstore, but it's got like animatronics and like old clunky animatronics of like robbers and cowboys getting into, gunfights. And it's just like room after room of stuff that you would find in like general stores and drugstores. Like none of it's like fancy, but it's amazing. I haven't been there since I was a kid, but
it's still around.
Oh yeah, I think it's probably. Cool. I mean, it's still like this big, huge tourist attraction.
Is that like a Massachusetts thing?
It's up in. I think it's in one of the Dakotas. Let me look. I think it's like South Dakota. It's somewhere up there. Let me see. Wall Drug.
I remember seeing those like Wall Drug bumper stickers years back. You don't really see those anymore.
We went to experience the death rattle of Bedrock City.
Oh, I've been there too. It's so sad.
Yeah.
South Dakota, Wall Drug.
When I went, you found it?
Yeah, it's in South Dakota.
South Dakota.
Okay.
Yeah, we...
Bedrock, USA in Arizona?
Yeah, I went to Bedrock City about 10 years ago, and that was, I think someone was making like one final push because everything was like freshly painted, and there was still like, when you take the little tractor or whatever ride through the volcano, and there was like hell in the volcano, there's devils and stuff. I was like, is this part of the Hanna-Barbera universe? It's like...
when Fran and Barty went to hell that one time.
This place is not... They're not allowed to say Flintstones anywhere at this place. There was like a cease and desist for Hanna-Barbera. But now it's like, they're just letting it like disintegrate now. It's called Raptor Ranch now, and they were trying to turn it into a bird sanctuary of sorts. But there's like 4 random birds just... hanging out. It's a little bit sad.
It's just a sanctuary for birds that just happen to end up there. It's like they retire and they're like, I'm not flying anymore. I'm not going to do this.
Poor raptor birds that end up there.
Yeah, but the telling thing for who people think we are, everybody's like, yeah, go to Bedrock City, do that. Don't bother with the Grand Canyon.
Yeah, people were like, our friends were like, you're not going to care about the Grand Canyon. I was like, because there's no like animatronic bear at the Grand Canyon.
It's not going out of business.
It's not slowly decaying.
It's not like a disintegrating Bam Bam.
Yeah,
it was amazing.
Yeah.
I truly went on like the most depressing day. My buddy and I had gone to the Grand Canyon, and we'd been there for all of 5 minutes when like these massive clouds rolled in, and you couldn't even see 5 feet in front of your face, let alone like the majesty of the Grand Canyon. And then it just started pouring rain.
Oh wow!
So we were like, all right, well, we saw 5 minutes of like one of the most beautiful places I've ever been. Truly mind blowing. Yeah. And then on the way back south, it stopped raining for a little while, and we pulled over at the Bedrock place. And so it was just it was pretty, I mean, it was very empty and run down. This is probably before they even tried to like repaint everything.
Yeah.
And it was just waterlogged, soaked. It was like, I just have these like photos of us standing on top of like the most dystopian theme park dinosaurs you've ever seen. It was just like, it really, like the weather just really drove home how sad and strange it is. But I got a mug, and we liked going there.
Yeah. I know we did a couple of things were kind of messed up for us because of rain, but most of it was cool. We got to go zorbing, and where it's in the Smoky Mountains in Pigeon Forge. It's a big thing in New Zealand, or was, I guess. You get inside these giant inflatable plastic balls, and they just roll you down this hill.
Whoa!
And there's like tracks you can go on, and
it's like a Flaming Lips bubble.
Right? Okay. Yeah.
Perfect reference.
Yeah, but you're like rolling down this hill, and they put there's like a bubble within the bubble, so you're like in water, so you're kind of like staying upright.
Okay, you're not spinning around.
It's kind of like, it's kind of like being on a washing machine.
Yeah,
but like, it was pretty exciting.
Yeah,
that's cool. Did you guys go to Dollywood when you were out there?
We did, and that was another thing that like my friends are like, we know you like this kind of you think you're gonna like Dollywood, but it's like a normal theme park more so. And I was like, well, I just don't. It was a little too expensive for me, not being like 100% sure.
Got it.
I don't think Dollywood is shitty enough for me.
Yeah, right.
I was kind of wanted it to be shittier.
A little shittier, like the Little Abner theme park, the Dog Patch USA that they built that like no longer exists.
Whoa, see, I would love.
I always heard about it as a kid. I was like, man, I want to go to Dog Patch USA.
You see, that sounds good.
Yeah. All right, we're gonna take a break. When we come back, we're gonna play a quick game with you guys.
All right.
Okay, Tom, Julia, I'm going to run down a list of infamous places, or I don't know whether they're all infamous. They're just famous. Some are infamous, I guess. Notable places, rapid fire style. If you think that this place is just an old place with no paranormal activity going on, you're going to say history. But if you think it's something weird going on, you're going to say mystery. You have to pick one or the other.
Okay. All right.
This is a game this summer we're calling History
or Mystery.
Okay.
I like that name.
Julia, Tom, ready, set, Stonehenge.
Mystery.
The Himalayas.
Mystery.
Mystery?
I'm saying mystery.
I'm saying history.
Julia's saying history. I think you can get attacked by a abominable snowman.
Yeah. Hell yeah. Roswell.
Mystery.
The Bermuda Triangle.
Mystery.
Easter Island.
Mystery. You said history.
No, I said mystery.
Oh, you did. Oh, so we're just,
Well,
mystery. Mystery.
Like being in church.
And also with you.
Mystery.
It is right to give thanks and praise.
The Tower of London.
We lift our hand.
Mystery.
The Tower of London is mystery or history?
Oh, it's probably history.
I'm going to say history for that.
The Great Pyramid of Giza.
Mystery.
History.
You're saying history. But they lock people in those things. Well, they lock them in. I mean, it makes it sound
not really trying to get out at that point.
Yeah, they really didn't care.
Well, actually, no, they did lock some people in there with them.
Oh, no.
Yeah,
I guess we got to do this.
With their handmaidens or whatever.
Yeah.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah.
The Nazca Lines.
I don't know what that
History.
is.
Oh, those are those big, you probably saw these in those paranormal books growing up. They're like the big, like, ground carvings of like birds and monkeys that you can only see from the sky.
Yes. Mystery.
That's mystery, yeah.
Loveland, Ohio, home of the Frogman.
Mystery.
Mystery. It doesn't need to be the home of the Frogman. It's just in Ohio. That's going to be
spooky.
Playing with the lines without the Frogman.
Loch Ness.
Oh, mystery.
Mystery.
Area 51.
Mystery. Are any of these history?
You'd be surprised.
Okay.
You guys are like hitting more mystery than history out of anyone this summer. I'm very, very happy. The Island of Dead Dolls. It's in Mexico. It's just an island full of.
I've seen pictures of that.
Okay, you know.
No, that's mystery.
Yeah, that's mystery.
Uluru. It's a big rock in Australia.
Yeah.
Out in the outback.
History.
That's history. That's just a big rock in the middle of Australia that you can't climb on anymore because it's it's like a it's like a religious place, like a cult, a sacred place. Yeah.
Okay. So. New Jersey's Pine Barrens.
Well, that's mystery.
Yeah, come on, Tom.
Jersey Devil will get you.
Oh, I see.
There you go.
How prominent was the Jersey Devil when you were living it? Did people talk about it a lot when you were living in Jersey?
Not like it was an active concern, but like we weren't like hurrying in before dark. No, but it was like a part of the thing. It's like, oh, the Jersey Devil, and then as soon as New Jersey gets a hockey team, they're like, what's the name of our team? The New Jersey Devils. And
we have one idea.
Yeah.
The Pacific Northwest.
History.
Okay. Bran Castle, aka Dracula's Castle in Transylvania or Romania. Can't remember where it is.
History.
I'll say history on that one also.
Devil's Tower.
Where Close Encounters, that's the
potatoes.
History.
That's mystery also, because there's clearly spaceships behind that thing.
Yeah. Finally.
In that movie, just before.
Yeah.
It's like, if you just were watching from the other side, you'd see all this stuff.
Yes.
They're running to the mountain and like, we got to get up the mountain and stuff. But if you were just happened to be on the other side of the mountain, you would have seen all that stuff just there the whole time.
Yeah.
You might have like not been able to hear like the music show, even though that was really loud, but people from miles and miles around are seeing that display happening.
Yeah.
I don't know why that's a secret.
I always feel like in Close Encounters, I would have been, if I was a character in Close Encounters, I'd have been that third guy who's like running with them, and then he's like, he's like almost makes it the whole way, and he's just like, go, you guys go. Keep going. Like, I almost got there.
You never come back to him.
Yeah, like what's that guy's story?
The other great thing about that movie is when you watch it now, you're like, wait a minute, this is a movie about a guy who just leaves his family.
Yeah,
completely.
Absolutely. I mean, that's Steven Spielberg says, like, he would not make that ending would not be the same ending now, because once he had a family, he
had to have a family to figure that out.
It's like, it's not weird until.
But all you need to think of is like, watch the Fablemans.
Yep.
And then you realize why, when that kid would grow up, he'd get on a spaceship to get away from his family without thinking twice.
Totally.
This awful, weird family. It's like, yeah, I'll go to space.
Yeah.
I'll bring the monkey.
Yeah.
Everybody else can stay. Finally, Los Angeles 2025.
Ooh, history.
Yeah, it's history. It's not the only mystery thing is just
why anyone voted for Donald Trump.
There we go.
It's
there you go.
That's
true mystery.
Intruders.
Yeah.
What on this list, if anything, did you go, oh, that was something I was fascinated with as a kid? Like for me, like the Bermuda Triangle. I was scared of the Bermuda Triangle trying to go to bed at night. I mean, I was nowhere near this thing. I'm growing up in Kansas, but so scared of the Bermuda Triangle.
Yeah, I was scared of the Bermuda Triangle because it just seemed like you go in there and you're gone. Yeah,
you disappear.
Like there's no getting out of that.
I was very interested in the Loch Ness monster.
Oh yeah,
Mm-hmm.
That's not scary. We'll be friends. I know that we'll hit it off, and he'll be like my best buddy.
I was pretty scared. I don't all the especially like underwater photos of like a fin. I was like, oh gosh. I'm very scared of sea creatures, even though I'm obsessed with them.
Yeah. We had a Time Life book growing up that was just close-up pictures of fish, and I was terrified of it because our dentist growing up when I was really little had this fish tank, and every time you went to the dentist, there was an angry fish in there that would rush up and like charge the glass when you were looking at it. So I was really scared of fish for a while as a little kid.
Yeah, I saw Jaws for the first time when I was 6 years old, and it kind of ruined the rest of my life.
Yeah, that'll do it.
Do you get that sense when you're in the ocean of the thing beneath you? Do you get that kind of fear? Yeah.
Oof, when it just something coming up really fast from the beneath you. Oof.
Yeah.
I get dizzy when I look at pictures of like the aerial photos of like a little boat and then you can see a big whale swimming under it. That always makes me like, ugh. I get dizzy for some reason. I don't like it.
Yeah.
I don't like it. Okay, when we come back, it's time for this week's story of high strangeness inspired by Tom Scharpling.
Oh no.
Okay, it is time for the next destination in our big strange vacation. Now, when I was a guest on Outgrown, Tom mentioned Coast to Coast AM and mentioned Art Bell and something called Mel's Hole. And this is a story that actually, Tom, I'm going to reveal on the podcast right now. You mentioning this and me saying, yeah, you should come on. We'll talk about that. Kind of inspired the whole summer theme of doing big, weird locations around the world. So that's what led to all of this
the seed.
nonsense.
That's so cool.
So here we go. No list of big strange places would be complete without the mention of one of the weirdest mystery spots in the Pacific Northwest. Somewhere in central Washington state near the town of Ellensburg, there is allegedly a large hole surrounded by a low brick wall that is the portal to a bottomless pit. This place is known as Mel's Hole. The legend of Mel's Hole originated on the late-night airwaves of the radio show Coast to Coast AM hosted by Art Bell. On the night of February 21st, 1997, a man who identified himself as Mel Waters from Ellensburg, Washington, called into the show after faxing a letter to host Art Bell about a strange, large hole that was located on his property. Initially, Mel's story seemed to fit the mold of a typical open lines caller, someone eager to share a curious experience. However, as he described the hole on his property, a large mystery filled with fascinating details began to emerge, quickly igniting the minds of Art's listeners. Tom, have you ever had someone call into the Best Show with like a paranormal experience?
No, I mean, look, at this point, people have called us with everything at this point. But not overly. We did spooky shows where I would do this thing called Lighthouse Confessions, where it would just play. It would be as if I was alone in a lighthouse. We just play the sound, and then it creates this mood, and everybody starts like talking more like mysteriously, and yeah, it's ominous. Awesome. It was like
the Frankie Teardrop Challenge, Nightmare Fuel.
That's the one that people would do in like caves and stuff.
Please tell Riley what the Frankie Teardrop Challenge was in our listeners.
There was a band in the 70s, a New York duo called Suicide was the band. And they were like every other band was just guitars, bass, and drums. Suicide was one guy up front, like a psychotic Elvis guy, and the other guy was playing keyboards and rhythm boxes and stuff, and it just was the most menacing music. And the scariest song that this already scary band had is the song Frankie Teardrop, which is like 8-9 minutes long, and it's just about this guy losing control and like killing his family, and it's the creepiest song. So we came up with this thing where it's like the Frankie Teardrop Challenge. It's like, can you listen to it straight through at night by yourself and like with headphones on? Because then it's like Frankie Teardrop, because he's screaming in the end when he's like killing people, and it's so creepy. And then people would do the Frankie Teardrop Challenge. And like somebody's like, I'm in a cave and I'm gonna do it right now, like on headphones. And he's like, I'm too scared. Like people get scared. I'm in a field. They would be like, I'm in a field and it's pitch black and I'm gonna do it. And it's like, it's really, that became a thing. And we even ran it by Alan Vega from Suicide. He was very flattered to hear about it. Like that he was like, yeah, that makes sense.
That was the idea.
It sounds like someone literally losing their mind, and you feel like you will go crazy by the end of the song.
Oh my God. It really is like listening to a breakdown.
It's terrifying.
Yeah.
All right, back to Mel's Hole. So Mel claimed that the hole, situated in a remote area of central Washington, was not just any ordinary pit, but a seemingly bottomless abyss that defied the laws of nature. It all began one evening when Mel began wondering how deep the hole on his property was. Now, this hole, which had no name at the time, was known by locals for generations, and Mel claims that people would often drive out to his property and dump their trash in the large pit that looked like a well. Mel began to wonder, why has this pit, which has been used for decades as a dump, never been filled up? Just how deep does it go? I also love that people are just driving onto his property and just throwing their trash down this hole and walking away like, well, that's that.
Off to the abyss.
They don't notice that there's no bottom to the pit they just threw their garbage into?
Well, that's the thing. So Mel had already had noted that whenever he tossed something down the hole, he could never hear it land. He could never hear it hit the bottom. And strangely, he says the hole seemed to act as a void. Not even shouting into the hole would produce an echo.
Whoa.
Wow.
So
yeah.
Mel, a self-proclaimed professional shark fisherman,
Ooh,
although
okay.
I don't think that's how he made his living, began running a fishing line and then wires down the hole to see if he could locate the bottom. He started with a roll of lifesavers on a fishing line, thinking that if there were water at the bottom of the pit, it would dissolve the lifesavers.
Sharp thinking, Mel.
Yeah. So he went down as far as it would go and then pulled it back up, and there was, the lifesavers were still there. So after retrieving the lifesavers fully intact, he began a different approach, sending spool after spool of wire down into the dark hole attached to a 1-pound triangular weight, hoping to measure its depth. By the time he called into Art Bell's show, he guesstimated he'd already run 80,000 feet of wire into the hole.
What?
Yeah. Which is, I think, impossible, but he counted. Yeah. He said
How much money was he spending on this wire?
Big wire budget.
Clearly had access to massive amounts of spools of wire.
Well, he's a shark fisherman, so he's rich as hell.
Exactly.
Yeah. Exactly. So the allure of the tale went beyond the hole itself. Mel asserted that the hole had an unusual ability to affect animals, such as his dogs, who refused to get near it. He even recounted a local rumor about a man who dropped the body of his dead dog down the hole, only to see it return to life, running through the woods weeks after its unceremonious burial. Ooh. So now it's like a pet cemetery scenario.
Mm-hmm. Pet reanimator.
Yeah. Pet reanimator.
Yeah.
Mel claims he had also heard of ranchers who had dumped dead cattle down into the hole, but there were no reports of resurrected cows roaming the woods. A few days into his initial call, Mel called back into Coast to Coast AM to report to Art Bell that in the following days after the initial broadcast, multiple military helicopters and military personnel swooped down on his property and cut Mel off from access to the hole. He also noticed heavy tracks in the road leading up the hill. When asked why he couldn't enter his own property, the military personnel informed him that there had been a plane crash and they needed to clean up the wreckage. It's the exact same thing from Close Encounters.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. A man dressed in civilian clothes approached Mel and insinuated in no uncertain terms that if need be, they could easily find a drug lab on Mel's land, therefore seizing it from him. When questioned by Art Bell, Mel said that he did dabble in alternative medicines and had a lab of sorts where he studied plants and, quote, Native American herbal medicines, end quote.
Okay.
Yeah, so I don't know.
Therapy.
Yeah.
This is an ayahuasca trip he had?
Yes. He also says that neighbors saw them towing giant generators into the woods towards the hole. Mel theorized that his hole might have some type of paranormal properties or powers that the government wanted to harness for its own sinister purposes. He even claimed that a few nights after the military's visit, a neighbor told Mel that he looked out towards the direction of the night sky over the hole's location and could see a black beam shooting up into the night sky. Mel also claimed that he was receiving orders from the government to buy his offers from the government to buy his land for a generous sum. Coast to Coast listeners began to speculate if Mel's hole was some kind of interdimensional gateway or time warp. Art, who was noticeably skeptical about this entire situation, really wanted Mel to get the press involved, get some photos, get some people to go down the hole and explore it. But Mel refused and ultimately wrote Art a letter saying that he decided to sell the land and relocate to Australia and wished to put the entire matter behind him. And at one point he said that an old man told him that there used to be standing stones around the hole, and when he showed pictures of Stonehenge, he was like, yes, just like that. So it might also be a stone monolith around, In 2000, Mel came back to the show after returning from Australia. In the 3 years since his initial call about Mel's hole, the place became a legendary legend-tripping destination with amateur explorers and TV crews and news teams trying and failing to find the mystery bottomless pit. During the 2000 call, Mel gave many wild updates, including that he'd been kidnapped and that all of his back teeth were removed while he was abducted. He just woke up in a hotel room with all of his teeth missing. And Art said that he saw that as a threat to Mel to maybe keep quiet about the hole. Over the few years, Mel made 2 more calls into Art. Like most sequels and ongoing paranormal lore, the mythology of the hole got weirder and more elaborate. Later escapades involved finding coins from alternate dimensions, discovering a second hole in Nevada with the American Basque people of the Southwest, and watching, I'm not making this up, a sheep give birth to a mutant, seal-like telepathic creature after being lowered into that second hole. And then he would say that this creature would communicate with him telepathically over radio waves.
Oh boy. Oh, Mel.
As for the original Mel's Hole, a man named Jerry Osborne came out and claimed that he had been visiting the location since the 1960s and that it was a place of high UFO activity, which is why he thinks the government wants it. At one point, he led an expedition of people to find the hole, but they failed to locate it, leading them to speculate that the government must have covered it up and hidden it. Despite the questionable nature of Mel's Hole, its urban legend has persisted to this day. It's undeniable that the Mel who called in on the night of February 21st, 1997 had a grounded, folksy charm that made the story feel believable, and probably why it has lasted so long. I think the real mystery about this story is not the bottomless hole, but the man who claimed to have found it. And that is the story of Mel's Hole.
Oh.
Yeah.
Do you remember listening to this story, Tom, back in the day?
I do remember Art Bell would talk a lot about Mel's Hole.
He did.
It was I didn't know about the drug part of it.
Uh-huh.
Like clearly that there's somebody's having a good time out by Mel's Hole.
He kept saying that he was just taking native plants and studying their medicinal purposes in the practice of the native people of the land. That's what he was like saying.
And then he saw a seal-like creature that a sheep gave birth to.
Yeah, it's a horrifying story that I didn't go into too much detail about because it's very much like the scene from The Thing with the dogs. So I kind of glazed over some of those lurid details. Gross details. So what do you guys think? Mel's Hole, is it out there somewhere, or is this just an urban legend?
I would need to hear this guy's like voice delivering this information because that's usually how I like determine things. I'm like, if you pick up on some BS.
It's crazy. He's like, well, Art, I just, I got this hole out here. And, he's like, well, he's like, and he goes off on tangents that don't lead anywhere. Like, he just sounds like somebody's uncle who just drove in on a pickup truck,
Yeah, I can see why so many people would believe it then.
Yeah. I just think the lore got out of control. Like, he literally lost the thread,
Yeah.
Couldn't keep the plot going and got scared when they were like, get some reporters out there.
Yeah. You know what the creepiest thing would be? They lower the lifesavers down and then they pull it up and just one is missing.
Yeah.
Right? Like somebody unwrapped it and had one. Then you'd be like, oh, just one. But it was
flavor?
Butterscotch.
Yeah.
Oh, and it chose butterscotch.
Yeah.
It's like the lifesavers that would be in your mom's purse. Like just one, little one taken.
Thank you.
They still make lifesavers, right?
Yeah,
sure.
They do. Wintergreen. That's the way to go. Butterscotch or wintergreen. You can keep the fruit ones. Tom, Julia, it was so fun to have you guys on the show.
Oh my God.
Thank you for being here.
For having us.
Thank you for sharing your
awesome.
stories. This is a blast.
Yeah, no, this was so much fun. Thank you for having us.
Yeah. Where can people listen to all of your stuff, watch your stuff? Let everybody know.
Yeah. Outgrown is on the internet. You can search for it using Google.
Yeah. New episodes go up on the Best Show Patreon, and then they go public for everybody to hear.
A few weeks later, they go public.
Okay.
For free,
so people might be able to find, if they're not a Patreon member, they might be able to find.
Oh yeah, there's tons of free episodes. They're on YouTube. They're on iTunes.
I'll find a link of the episode I was in, and I'll put it in the show notes so people can.
Yeah, it was a great episode.
It's such a fun show. You guys are such great hosts, and so great at
so
everything that you guys do. So, thank you.
Well,
what about the Best Show? Tell everyone to listen to the Best Show.
Well, I do Best Show. I've been doing this is the 25th anniversary of it this year. It started as a radio show and then became a radio show and a podcast, and now it's an internet show and a podcast. So it's an internet radio show. We do it live on Tuesday nights
on YouTube.
It's on YouTube. Go check it out, and it's fun.
It's a call-in show, and Tom is amazing.
Yeah, it's great. It's one of my favorite things of all time. I love it so much. It's been a true privilege having you guys on the show. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Seriously, thank you so much. It's so much fun.
Yeah. See you later.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye.
Are there two nicer people
I don't think so.
in Hollywood, California?
Or anywhere.
Or anywhere? I don't think so.
Wow.
I don't think so. That was such a blast.
Yeah.
Huge thanks to Tom and Julia again for joining us. What a delight. And everyone, if you're not listening to Best Show, I don't know what you're doing. And again, I'll put, if I find I'll get the link to my Outgrown episode. It's very fun.
You got 25 years to catch up on. So
it's true. Good. It's great. It's all out there.
Did you see on their Patreon, they've got the 24-hour podcast episode?
Yes. Yeah.
That is so cool.
And on the WFMU days, back when they were doing the radio show, Tom would do like a 24-hour pledge-a-thon where, and I would pledge money every year. He would do it, and he would just stay up he would just do the show for hours. I don't know if it was a full 24 hours, but it was insanely long, and they would get great guests on.
Yeah.
And you guys should look up Scharpling and Worcester, John Worcester, who's his comedy partner is a drummer on the Mountain Goats and Super Chunk. Is that right? Is that the name of this? Yeah, Super Chunk. Worcester is also hilarious, and he will call in to the show playing a number of hundreds of characters that they've created from a fictional town called Newbridge. And it's very, very fun. It's such a great show. There's nothing else like it. And honestly, Best Show was one of the things that really made me want to do a podcast, this, what we're doing right now. So, they're an inspiration.
Yeah. Radio podcast legends.
Yeah. And Julia is an incredible artist. Her stuff is insane. And she's worked on Disney movies and all this big stuff. Very talented couple of people. So we are very privileged to have him.
We are.
Have
Fun
him here.
Times.
I know. All right. Well, you know what? You know what else we're privileged to have?
What's that?
Good friends and listeners that joined us over on the other side.
Of course.
Should we do some Club Scout shout outs?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, we got a few this week. Kathleen Lynn.
Thanks, Kathleen.
Rachel Malone.
Thanks, Rachel.
And maybe in competition for my favorite name of all time on the other side, Chupacabra Cadabra Cosmeteer.
Welcome to the ranks, Chupi.
That is
a name.
That is a t-shirt right there. Chupacabra Cadabra.
Yeah.
That's a pretty great, that's like a Chupacabra with a magic wand.
With a wand, yeah.
Fighting the Loveland Frogman with his wand, and casting a spell.
Ooh.
That'd be very cool.
Yeah.
Well, you too can be an official Club Scout when you join patreon.com/BigfootCollectorsClub and unlock total access to BCC with 3 bonus episodes every month, the BCC Discord, and more. You can upgrade to the Cosmeteer membership for an ad-free main feed episodes like this one and exclusive music tracks from the Wizard of Weirdverly Place himself, Riley Bray.
That's right.
Riley, let's swing over to Collector's Corner. What you watching? What you consuming? What you reading? What are you building in your little workshop of wonders? What are you up to lately?
Well, so the heart rate machine, I completed it.
Okay.
It is being used in the Museum of Contemporary Art, which
wait a minute. I don't know that
me.
you told us about the heart rate machine that you're building that's going into the museum. Did you?
I think maybe I very sort of mad scientistly half explained it in a Collector's Corner, but basically it's a machine. It's a little circuit that I used AI to kind of
I know about that, but I didn't know it was going to be in the museum.
Yeah. So it's being used by Nadia Tolokonnikova as part of her police state installation at MoCA, which ironically is currently closed due to police state.
Wow.
So that's wild. We don't need to get into all that, but literally I walked out of the museum and the protest was in the parking lot.
That's insane.
Yeah,
that's crazy. Wild. So, but it's not it's not canceled. It's just sort of
it's currently
on
postponed.
Hold.
It's on hold. The museum decided to close for the week, and understandably so.
Yeah.
It's curfews and everything going on. And but I went out in there. I got some footage and experienced the whole thing. Don't believe the media. Think for yourself.
Yeah.
But anyways, this machine. Not to get into all that because it's a whole other topic. It takes the electricity of your heartbeat and it amplifies it through a circuit that I learned some electrical engineering to build.
Yes.
And put it all together. It's kind of funny, actually. Caitlin walked in on me like working on it the night before it had to go to the museum, and I was tweaking on it, trying to make it work right. And she's like, it had gone from day to night, so it's like dark except for one light over my desk. I'm sitting there shirtless with electrodes hooked up to me and like holding a soldering iron.
You're like Tony Stark trying to jumpstart your own heart.
Like literally.
Keep the shrapnel from killing you.
Yeah, she kind of just like walked over. She was like, okay, never mind. I was like, it almost works.
Oh my God, I love it. That's so cool.
It does work. It's amazingly cool. You hook yourself up to it and you hear your heartbeat amplified up to audio levels in real time. It sounds incredible. She's using it to mix it into these soundscapes that she's doing for this durational performance. But I was so excited about it. I think I'm going to build a couple more. Like,
wow.
I want another one for myself.
Do it.
I don't know.
Why don't you build one and then you can like, we can like give it, make a giveaway to somebody. We can do something for charity and like, we can do it, raffle it off or something. It would be really fun.
Something like that could be cool. But yeah,
it's a literal work of art. You are now in the Museum of Contemporary Art in Los Angeles. Pretty fucking cool.
Pretty cool.
Pretty cool.
Yeah,
I can't think of a lot of people that I know who have that credit to their name. So congratulations. I can't wait to see the installation when I can.
Yeah. How about you?
I have a much less important and cool thing. I've just been catching up. So, I was doing like Bravo and unscripted shows for so long, and I've been catching up on scripted shit that I was just like, because here's the thing. I think I've said this on the show before, but sometimes when you're an actor, you're like, people will be like, watch the show, it's great. And you're like, I'm sure it is, but I'm not working right now. And I'll watch a scripted show and I'll start being like, I'm not working. I want to be doing this. This is so fun, But I've kind of like, I'm missing that stuff. So I've been catching up on comedies. One is an old one. It's been around for a minute, at least since I think last fall or this winter, which is Nobody Wants This on Netflix. Adam Brody. And
what is that? I've heard about that.
It's just a really delightful, light, wonderful romantic comedy. It's about Adam Brody, because Adrian Brody's the brutalist. Adam Brody from OC plays a rabbi, and Kristen Bell plays just like, an LA podcaster who is a disaster with relationships, and her whole she does a podcast with her sister about how like her love life is a disaster, and they like share dating horror stories and like men being pigs and that kind of stuff.
Okay. And
she meets this guy and they end up dating, but he is like, he's very, like charming, and he's not, really just like, I don't want to say like normal guy, because then you think, but he's not, but he is a very like traditional rabbi, and he has to marry a Jewish woman. And so it's all about how like her friends are like, why are you dating a rabbi? You're not even religious. And it's all of his family being like, why are you dating this shiksa? This is never going to go anywhere. So the title Nobody Wants This comes from their two worlds conflicting. But they have such great chemistry, and you like really root for their relationship. Like I was like, shockingly so into this show, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So if you haven't watched that yet, it's really fun, it's really light, and they're coming back for a second season in October, so I'm already excited about it.
I like a quirky rom-com. I'm not afraid to admit it. I love them.
And then there's a new show on FX that I still don't know that much about, but I watched the first episode the other night. It's called Adults. And it's sort of a Gen Z Friends single camera comedy, though.
Caitlin was watching that. That is literally word for word how she described it.
Like you can kind of pick out, okay, this is the Chandler, this is the Ross, this is the Rachel. And it's just really fun. It's funny. It's just well written so far and well acted, and like I'm actually like, oh, I can't wait to sit down and like knock out the rest of this show. It's like I really like the aura of the show. So I don't know where it goes yet, but check those out if you need some good scripted comedies. Also, guys, gals, non-binary friends, we need some more 5-star reviews on Apple Podcasts. We haven't been doing 5-star Club Scout of the Week because nobody's doing it. If you could do that for us, it'd be great, and we'll read it on the show. Let's bring that segment back. And then while you're bopping around the internet, why don't you swing by my eBay shop. Links in the bio. I still have copies of Adventure Van that I can sign and send you. And I've been doing Little Loveland Tadpole Boy doodles, and I've been doing other cryptid doodles and sending people. You can make a request of what cryptid you want. I'll draw it for you. So that's all of that. And join us over on, subscribe to our YouTube channel, please.
He's really underselling these doodles, by the way, you guys. They are works of art.
It's kind of like, now I'm like, the doodle's really the thing I'm excited about sending, and then like you get it.
Also, you
know,
get like a fun thing.
Yeah. And
but you get a Macmillan original out of this.
That's right.
And those Little Loveland Tadpole Boys, I love that little guy. He needs a whole graphic novel series.
He does.
Like a real gritty one too.
I've been thinking about it. I need to order for my customers some new BCC stickers because I ran out, but I'm gonna order some more, so I'll even toss in some little freebies in there for you guys. So give me a chance for those to get in the mail. It's
a good deal.
And then I just enjoy sending. I really just enjoy like the notes you guys send me and corresponding with you guys, and getting to send you just a fun little fun packet. So there you go. That's it. Okay, we're gonna cross over to the other side to explore some very classic locations.
Classical, even,
classical. Maybe. You can also find us on the YouTube channel. If we don't see you there or there, we will see you back here next Wednesday for an all-new episode of BCC. Until then, good night.
And go get regressed.
Bigfoot Collectors Club is produced and engineered by Riley Bray and executive produced by Riley Bray and Michael McMillan. Our theme song, Come Alone, is by Suneaters, courtesy of Lotuspool Records. Follow Suneaters on Spotify. For 3 bonus episodes every month and ad-free episodes, check out BCC The Other Side at patreon.com/BigfootCollectorsClub.